Okay, it's 1 o'clock on the West Coast, 4 o'clock on the East Coast. Welcome. Thank you for being here. And we're getting started with the regular. Avish, I see you're there. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Long time no see you or hear.
I know. It's been a busy few weeks.
Well, good. I put up a couple things there that I wanted to talk about, then we can get to some of the stuff on your plate. And I spoke at this conference, as I told you, Avish, as it turns out, the ASJ, the American Society of Journalists and Authors. And I spoke there a couple weeks back. I was in New York to do that, and it was good. I mean, got a lot of good feedback. What I forgot to do that I think everybody who gives a speech to any group should do is this: is you need to set up, and this is what I didn't do, set up a specific page slash site for those attendees to get a special gift. And in doing so, you generally will get a higher rate of people opting in rather than just telling them to go somewhere and do something. So if you promise them some kind of a special thing, set up a special page on your site or a special site, um, and just have that. Now, this can be rotated. So if you could, for example, Avish, if you were to put up a site and call it Avish Special Gift.com, every time before you're going to give a given speech, you can change it, because by the time, after about 48 hours maximum, you don't have to worry that people from one gig are going to go there any further. Occasionally it'll happen, but really not that often. So if you wanted to set up your own site, take your name and create something like this or whatever you want to do. In your case, Avish, since Avish is an unusual name here in the States, avishgift.com may be good enough to get away with that. And that way you can, have a central sort of a special site that you always put up whatever the new thing is for whatever the new group is you're going to be speaking to and with. Um, and this was an interesting group. Their lunchtime speaker, who I got to sit in on, was A.J. Jacobs, who wrote The Know-It-All, and he also wrote the book The Year of Living Biblically, where he for a year tried to follow every commandment in the Bible. I don't know if have you read either of those, Avish?
Yeah, I read both of those plus a couple of the others he's written too.
Yeah. Well, what'd you think of him? He's a pretty good writer. I liked him, and he was a really good speaker. Great lunchtime speaker. He basically picked out some funny things from each of the things that he's done, and his most recent one is on about fitness. Did you read that one?
Yeah, I think that one came out like a year or two ago, right?
Did it? Okay, I'm way behind on his stuff.
It's
But
where he like tries all these different fitness things.
right,
Yeah,
yeah, it's great because I mean he's if you think about it, he's got sort of a good gig. He's become the guy that sets himself up as his own guinea pig
yeah.
and does some stuff. So anyway, I checked that out, and so I'd suggest that you do this. What I'm suggesting is set up a special page or site and do things that way. Now, I spoke to Bill DeWeese yesterday on my drive to Vegas and talked to him about a bunch of things. He's doing really well, and he's doing really well in a couple different areas. As I don't think you heard this, Avish, but he just became the guy. If I can find my, are you do you have him in your as a Facebook friend?
I think so.
Well, if you look at his latest Facebook entry, which I think might be easier for you to do than for me to do at this point, but one of the things is he just became the voice of, I think it's Chevrolet for Europe, the same thing that John Cusack is doing here in the United States, and he says 4 words, and he's being paid $12,000, so basically 3 grand a word. It'd be nice if we could get that for our speaking, wouldn't it?
Yeah, what's that all about?
Basically, they auditioned to try and find the voice of Chevrolet in Europe and North Africa or whatever. They decided to use his voice, and because they're going to be using it for the next year, those 4 words, which obviously took him all of 30 seconds to record, he's getting paid $33,000 a word for it.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, and he also tells me that he's doing a couple things that bear sort of describing to some you and other people as well. One of the things is he started this thing called his voice over fast track thing that he does, and that's a max of 8 people, and a cost of I think it's 450. And what he does is he's running monthly at now, and he's filling them up every month. And so he may increase frequency of the VO fast track to 2 times monthly if it warrants it. And the reason why, he offers a lot of different options, but one of the things is by offering this voiceover fast track, and I forget exactly how he runs it, but he creates this, and by the way, that's one of the things I have to tell him is to create or set up, he owns the domain name, set up a site just for the VO fast track, which he doesn't have. In fact, he hasn't even had to set up a site for this. He just tells people about it, and they say, okay, sign me up, without even any information other than, yeah, I'm doing this, do you want in? It's $450, maximum 8 people. So he needs to set up some kind of a site, and I suggested that he follow basically what I'm doing here on the Fred Personal Bootcamp, and just a very simple site like this. And he set this up for the voiceover fast track so that he can at least direct people to a site to give them the specifics of what it is and what's going on. So he's going to do that. And
So is that a group coaching program, or what is that?
Well, it's sort of an 8-person group, but it's not a group coaching program per se. It's sort of like a group one-time seminar. I'm not sure if it goes. Let's just see what happens if we go to his site. If he's got that, I don't think he even has this listed. He doesn't even have to talk about it. Yeah, so it's like one of these things where he just tells people, oh yeah, I do this, and it's a one-shot deal. So he gets people to pay one time, I could have part of this wrong, but the whole idea is then at the end of that voiceover fast track program with all those 8 people, he naturally says, well, if you want to take this a little bit further, the other thing I was going to do for him, let me just interrupt myself here. Personal coaching. So one of the things that he does is at the end of the voiceover fast track, he then pitches people on other products and programs that they should be getting from him, and so that he ends up not only making the $450 per person, but then he also ends up making X amount of dollars every time he does one of these because people buy products as well. So, and right now he's filling these up, like I said, monthly at 8 per month. But if the demand warrants it, he's certainly open to setting up, and doing these 2 times monthly. I also said to him that one of the things I'd like to see him do is not only set up a site, and I'm going to make sure it makes some notes here. So set up site for, I have it right here, voiceover fast track, which I'm going to put a little note to send that to him. But also I told him to set up a personal coaching site similar to Fred Personal Bootcamp. Yeah, I'll just enlarge this here. And what I said was for him to, first off, come up with a price point, and we were coming up with something like $19.97 or $24.97, and give them in that package, because a lot of times people aren't coming to his group seminars, and I suspect it might be because of timing or whatever. So for that amount, I suggested that he first does some voice coaching. He then produces their demo, and then he gives them, a marketing plan, whether that's customized or not, and then he gives them a boatload of products, because I mean the products are already produced. So my idea here is to get him to this high price point where he does a little bit of this, a little bit of this, a little bit, and then throws in a boatload of products, and then put the dollar amounts associated with each to increase value. And so the whole idea here is that it really, really looks desirable to go ahead and get that. So, and that's something that I think everybody can do. And Avish, I was just thinking of it for us that's one of the things I think we might want to do is let's create something like this where we go for a really high price point and include all of our products, and then offer to do some, in our case, so for the speaking expert site, my idea would be, okay, so let's sort of brainstorm what would we include. So let's put the obvious here, which is this one. We're going to include that. And then we should also have them, I think that we will critique, critique their speaker demo, offer to do 3 critiques of speaking videos that they give us, et cetera, and to set up some kind of just a, something that, and how many people now do we have on the list? Is it $3,000 or more?
It's about 3,000, yeah.
I'm convinced that we just need to figure out, what kind of a product to get to these people now. Even though we've been giving them these lower price product offerings, I think that they may want the 2 things that will appeal to them is some kind of a personal coaching program, as well as something marketing their speaking business program. And so basically Bill is doing this here in a way. So I think we may want to try that if you're amenable.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that might be worth doing. And again, as far as the price point goes, I told Bill, start out with list all the services first, and then base the pricing based on whatever you think the market will tolerate. Because this boatload of products makes it really easy for him to put up, literally probably, $1,000 or more in products only, which makes it real appealing to people. And so that's what I was thinking of. And so why don't we debrief what now? You did some recent speaking engagements. Where were you doing your thing?
The last few weeks I've been kind of all over. I was in LA, in Dallas, Houston, and DC.
Got it. And was this all for
Florida, Bloomington, Delaware.
Was this all for one particular program, or what was it?
No, a couple of them are those subcontract gigs I do. A couple of them are just for my, a bunch of them are just kind of for my, I guess 2 of them were for my kind of keynote type program. One was an NSA chapter.
And how did those go?
They all went great. I'm already in talks with the one from LA, which was just under 2 weeks ago. I'm already talking to a client, an attendee there, about doing a program for their bank, so it's pretty exciting.
Nice. And what was the fee for that one?
That was around $3,000.
Good. Good. Yeah. So it's it's all real money.
Yeah. That was good.
Excellent. I wanted to tell you as well, since we haven't. I don't think I've talked to you about this. I went to yet another 2-day poker seminar. So I've been to 2 now, one day and one 2-day on playing cash games, and I'm going to be going to another one June 12th on playing tournaments.
Really?
Which have less appeal to me. So, and I've sort of set a goal for myself that after my sort of training is over, that I'm going to try and make this another revenue source between $300 to $500 a day from poker. Crazy. But I think I can do it.
And how many, is that How many days a week are you planning on doing that?
You know what? It's going to depend. Anywhere probably from 3 to 4 days a week.
Wow.
Yep. And it was uh, it was good to take those because it gives me a lot of insight into how to do things. But it's also I've noticed, and this is something that everybody, I can't believe this. I talked to this guy. I don't know if I told you this before, if I said this on a webinar before, but I'll tell you. So this guy who I've got on his site, he's a poker coach, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
asked him. I said, "Well, so how much for your coaching?" And he said, "Well, it's $200 an hour," and he explained how it worked. So I was about to do it, and then what he did was he sent me an invoice, and he says, "Oh, but I have to charge you the PayPal fees." So he now then tried to charge me like $212 or whatever it was, and I immediately said, "Screw you," because I can't believe that this guy, he's going to get $200 an hour from me, but he's really felt like he was nickel and diming me.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, forget it. And I'm like going, the moral of that story is, if you say $200 an hour on your site or somewhere, even if you have to eat the fees, don't be an idiot. Don't do something that people will go, don't give people any reason to say no. And that gave me a reason to say no because I get pissed off. And I was like, what are you talking about? That's
Well,
absurd.
especially if he tells you 200, then later on says, "Oh, I'm going to add the PayPal." If he had just said to you up front, "Hey, it's going to be $225,"
Exactly.
you probably would have been
Exactly.
like, "Oh, that's fine." And then he would have covered his fees without jacking up the price later.
You got it. It's just the idea of sort of all of a sudden having some, nickel and diming after the fact, after you've promised me or quoted me an amount, 100%. So that's what that was about. But I'm, all of this goes back to the idea of looking for ways, whether it's, all of our business lives include ways in which we can generate cash from various different sources. And I mean, every time I look at my, whether it's the Kindle account or it's the ultra cheap domains account, and I was just thinking of how, I'm a pretty simple liver. If it's living, meaning living person, and I was thinking of how if I had like that and Web Marketing Magic, I mean, I could literally, if I went to like some Caribbean country, I could live like a king just on all the automatic income that I have coming
Yeah.
in. And it's just, well, I'm not living out as a king because of the 3 mortgages I have to pay, but but it just reminds me of how sweet it is to have automatic revenue coming in. And the question, so I look at poker as not only fun, but regular income potentially. And so, again, the goal here is 100 checks from 100 different sources. Poker just becomes another one of those sources. And it's a matter of figuring out what kinds of stuff you
Yeah.
have. But all of this, I think, goes back to having to have some kind of a list and building on the list. So I think that, Avish, we may want to try and you know find ways, try different things. What we also might want to try is to find a really good affiliate related program because if you think about it, the 3,000 people on that list from Speaking Expert are probably a little bit, they're less apt to buy from us than they are from someone we recommend.
Right.
So it might be interesting to try and see if we can get them, to buy something from an affiliate program that we believe in. And again, it just contributes to this, 100 checks a month kind of idea. So what? So another report here on the on the blogging report. So it's now been over 4 months of 4 times daily blog posts on FG.com. And I can report that we still have insufficient information to make a decision. So I'm going to wait until the actual end of June. So we're not too far away from that. We've got 7 weeks or whatever. So at the end of that 7 weeks, I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna give you the numbers and see whether or not it's making sense. I don't know. Have you been? What are the numbers you've seen recently on Speaking Expert? Any increase? Any decrease? Any movement?
Well, it's been interesting because I've been so busy. My blogging has been a lot less in the past 5 weeks. I've done anywhere from zero. One week I had zero, but the other weeks I had 2 to 4.
Okay.
So initially, the first few weeks when I didn't blog or when I blogged and dropped, the visitors dropped. But for some reason, the last 3 weeks they've been back up close to their top levels. Um, with less blogging, I wasn't doing the full 10 a week, so I'm not sure what that means, if anything. But uh,
It might mean that you already got some traction from some of the regular blog posts that you've done. Would be my guess.
yeah, maybe Google did a reindex or something, and it's. I tried to figure out what I could from looking at the other reports of traffic sources, but it's a little cryptic, especially because Google now puts so many in the undefined category.
Yeah, exactly. These are. I mean, I love the headlines. It's all. They're all great headlines, and that's good. So I don't know. I think less blogging might, in your case, you still got good results.
I mean, I'm
Uh,
shooting for. I figure last year when we were doing this, I was shooting for 2 a week. Um, Now I'm shooting for 2 a day, so even on slow weeks, for the most part, I'm still getting a few up. So I'm still going to shoot for 2 a day.
yeah, I
Um,
think that's kind of worth doing. The question now becomes, what do we do with the people? We've tried different things. Some of them have worked, many of them have not. In terms of trying to see what we can what we can get them to buy from us as a group, and what we might want to do. What might be cool to do, Avish, is we may want to offer some kind of a free event, that they can come to. And so,
hmm
because the whole idea is that whole proximity makes it easier to sell. And so it might be something now. By the way, just to let you know, I'm going to be in New York from June 30th through July 10th. And if you're able to come in and say hi, we'd love to see you.
Cool.
And I was thinking that might be, summer's not necessarily the best time, but we may want to shoot for some kind of an event, give you an excuse to come out to Vegas too. Maybe we should create a free event and shoot for like sometime in the September. When are you guys? Do you have anything crazy going on? So September, October time frame. Does that conflict with anything you have?
Not really. I mean, there's certainly nothing major. I mean, little dates here and there, but it's not like we're going to be gone for weeks in there. So.
Okay, cool. Well, you know what? I don't have a whole lot more to talk about. Anything else you want to discuss? Because those are just really some important things that I wanted to talk about, but I don't want to artificially sort of extend our time.
I don't. I mean, just kind of give the update. Like I said, I've been kind of out of it for a few weeks, so just kind of getting back in the swing of things now.
Well, that's cool. Well, good. Good to talk to you, and thank you those of you who are on, and those of you who are listening via video.